Hi guys, these are our video sub plans for the day. Sorry I can't be here. I will see you tomorrow and I hope you have a great day. First thing we're going to go ahead and do is work on our bell work. So I want you to really think about a time when you misjudged someone based on their appearance, or even about a time when someone misjudged you based on your appearance. Remember that your response should be clear, creative, and captivating. It should be at least one paragraph, preferably two. And please go ahead at this time and push Control M on your digital notebook and add a new slide. You'll have about 5 or 6 minutes to type, so really get to working quickly, please. And you can go ahead and pause the video so that students have a chance to write. Okay, we're going to look at our learning intentions and our success criteria for the day. So if you notice, we have a lot of learning intentions today and just a couple of success criteria. And that's because really, truly in language arts, every single thing that we do is connected. And so we can read one story and work on, honestly, 10 or 12 of our standards. So we'll go through what we're going to do today, and then you guys can get started. So first is determining the most relevant evidence to support analysis of a text. Okay, and we also want to determine the most relevant evidence to support an inference drawn from the text. We're going to work on identifying complex characters and explaining what makes them complex, supporting your explanation with evidence. You're going to analyze how authors develop characters through the use of literary devices, analyze how the actions of a character and the interactions between characters throughout a text. We're going to write text-based responses, and then we're going to participate in text-based discussions, sharing original ideas. And to be successful with this, you'll follow these two. After reading a short story, you will write text-based answers to questions as well as participate in conversations with your partners. And then after watching a presentation on character types and character development, you should be able to explain the different types of characters as well as apply that knowledge to our short story. Okay. So again, sorry that I'm gone today. I will be back tomorrow, so make sure that you are making good choices today and that your effort is at its peak. I will answer any questions you have when I get back tomorrow. Okay, so first we're going to talk about our C3 reading process. And this is something that Mr. Wyke and I came up with over the summer. And we really decided that we needed a focus or a process to teach freshmen, and it's what we're going to use all year long with any text that we're reading. So C3 is basically broken down like this. So first we start out with a cold read. And when you're doing your cold read, you're getting the gist of the text. You're just focusing on what the text is about. And then we'll do another read, which will be your close read, and you're reading closely, you're digging deeper this time. And this time, instead of focusing on what the text is about, you're focusing on what is important to understand. Okay, and your third read will be called your culminating read. And this is where you're putting it together and synthesizing information from multiple places. So take your combination of what the text is about, with what's important to understand, with our language arts terminology, and really put it all together and focus on what personal meaning can I take away from this text. And we believe that following this C3 process will really take you from a surface level understanding of our texts to a deep understanding of our texts. So right now, we're going to take a minute and just kind of look at this quote. Close reading is a careful and purposeful rereading of a text. Dr. Douglas Fisher said this. And essentially, it means that when we ask you to read something more than one time, it's not because we're trying to use up class time or because we want you to memorize something. It's because we want you to carefully manipulate the text so that you understand it. We want you to be purposeful, and we'll always give you the purpose of your reading. So on that note, reading number 1, it's time for our cold read. So you're going to read the story the first time. You're going to make 1 to 2 notes per page about the gist of the text. So it could be something surface level, such as he tries to steal her purse or he is walking down the street. But you need to make sure that you're writing notes that answer the question, what is this text about? Okay, please focus on 1 or 2 notes per page. And then again, the question is, what is this text about? You need to read the text individually for your cold read, and you need to read the entire text. Okay, just a little reminder in a corner there that a positive attitude about this, plus your maximum effort reading, will absolutely pay off. Okay, let's go ahead and pause the video for a minute and give you time for your cold read. All right, now that your cold read is done, we're going to think about the setting a little bit. So we're going to take 60 to 90 seconds and think by ourselves. And then we'll take maybe 90 seconds or 2 minutes to have a partner discussion. And then if you want, you guys can share out a little bit. So think about yourself about the following. When I ask you about the text, what I'm asking you to do is look at context clues. So think about the setting. What did you notice? What type of clothes were they wearing or did they want? What type of language was used to describe items or things or people in the story? And then approximately when do you think this story took place? So not just time of day, but also approximately when in history do you think the story took place? And how do you know that? And then after you take a minute and think, I want you to talk to your partners about when and where you think the story takes place. And you have to provide evidence from the story. So that would look like, I believe this takes place in the 50s because on page 2 it says. Okay, let's go ahead and pause the video for a few minutes for you guys to have that time to think and then that time to discuss as well. All right, now that you've had some time to discuss the setting, I want you to open up your digital notebook again and open a new slide for today's notes. Please title your notes Character Types, okay? By the time I come back tomorrow, I want you to be able to define to me complex characters and static characters. So we're going to take a minute and go over them. You do not have to write down every single thing that I have typed, but you should try to get a good definition forming for yourself personally. So complex characters have different characteristics. That means that we know a lot about them. They develop through the story. They might mature or change their mind about something during the story. They might learn a lesson and undergo some sort of change. And they're significantly different at the end of a story compared to who they were at the beginning. So with a complex character, you're going to see a change from beginning to end. Additionally, complex characters may have been referred to as dynamic characters before, but in our standards, they're referred to as complex. So that's the word that we will use. But if you've ever heard the word dynamic, that's the same thing essentially. Okay, when we're talking about static characters, these are characters that don't really develop through the story. So a static character won't probably mature much, if at all, and they might get older. Make no mistake, they may get older, but they probably won't mature a whole lot. And they don't typically undergo any sort of transformative or life-changing experience. So those are really the big differences between complex and static. Complex, we know a lot about. They undergo a change, they develop. And static, just like static on your TV or your radio, typically sounds like, and it doesn't change a whole lot. Static characters don't change a whole lot either. Go ahead and pause the video and take a minute to get down these notes. All right, let's go ahead and either open a new slide or add a new bolded heading to the same slide if you have room. And this should be labeled Character Development. Authors put characters in their stories for a reason, and they develop over the course of a text by interacting with other characters. In doing this, they advance the plot and they help develop the theme. Authors typically develop characters in 3 different ways. One is through their thoughts. So what is this character thinking and feeling? The next is through their actions. So what are they doing, even if they don't necessarily say anything? And then the third way is through their dialogue. How do they speak to others, and how do they treat them with their tone? Go ahead and pause this for a minute and make sure you get down the main points, and then we will go on to our next section. All right, it's time for reading number 2, which is your close read. So you are going to read the story a second time. Remember that with your close read, you are digging deeper. So this time, instead of writing surface level notes, like he was walking down the street at night, you're trying to write notes that answer the question, what is important to understand about this text? So an example might be that for your first read, you wrote something like he was walking down the street at night. But for your second read, when you're digging deeper, you might write something like, why is there a kid alone on the street at night? Because that might be important to understand. Okay, this time you're again reading the entire text individually, but you're going to annotate in a second color. There should be a container of pens on the front table. If you don't have a second color with you, please go grab one of my pens that's a different color. And then I want to just remind you before you pause the video that the more you put into this, the more you will get out. So please give your maximum effort. You can go ahead and pause the video if you haven't already. Okay, so reading number 3 is our culminating read. If you still have time left in class, you may work on this in class. If you're running out of time in class, you may get started until the bell rings, and then it becomes your homework. So culminating read means that we're reading at a third and culminating time. And this time I want you annotating for details that relate to identity. So everything we've been talking about identity, now look for details that relate to the character's identity. And or I want you to make personal connections with the story. Additionally, you have some text-based questions. I want you to answer those in complete sentences, providing evidence from the text. This is due on Friday when you get to class. So yes, this is homework. You should read the entire text individually for your culminating read, and I want you annotating in a third color. Okay? Before you leave for the day, I want to remind you for your culminating read that having a positive attitude about this assignment, plus providing your maximum effort, is going to not only mean feelings of success and accomplishment, but it will also give you this really deep understanding of our story, because when I come back tomorrow and the entire week next week, we're going to need to know this information. So again, try your best, synthesize details from all of your different reads, and really try to create some personal meaning for yourself. I hope that you have some time left to do this in class so that it's not entirely homework, but either way, remember that it is due tomorrow. Have a great day, and thank you for being excellent today and putting up with my slideshow video substitute notes. Bye-bye.